Hello, my beautiful friends. So our topic today is sisterhood. Now, brotherhood is something very worthwhile talking about, but I'm a sister, not a brother, so this is going to be about sisterhood. But it isn't, none of these comments are at all to comment on brotherhood and events for men. This is about sisters getting together. So I was thinking about this because I belong to a group called Daughters of Scotia. I'll link it below. If you're interested in your Scottish ancestry, and even if you're not, you don't have to be Scottish, just interested in Scottish ancestry. Daughters of Scotia is a Masonic group. I had never heard of it, to be honest. My mother would have loved something like this. I just wish she was here, because she would have loved it. But anyway, basically, you know, in the 1800s, 1700s, 1800s, I think, the Masons were very popular, and they were a way to raise money for death benefits and insurance benefits for its members. So that's the Masons, the Knights Templar. I don't know a single thing about any of that. However, they had a ladies' auxiliary group, and they are called Eastern Star. So there was ladies' group. Now, the Scottish Masons had their own group, and I don't know if it's just because they wanted to be with other Scottish people or if they spoke Gaelic or what, but they were Masons, but then they also had the separate group of the Scottish Masons, and their auxiliary group was called Daughters of Scotia. And you'd pay a little, like a little fee to belong to it, and that goes up to the national. And the men's organization actually tanked. I don't know if they spent all their money on whiskey, but they tanked in the early, late 1800s, early 1900s. But the Daughters of Scotia, the auxiliary group, stayed, and they have been around since then. And they are this incredible group of women from all over, and the lodge that I belong to is actually 2 hours away from me. So we're starting a local lodge here, more local. There's nothing in eastern Pennsylvania, so this will hopefully capture people who are interested in the Philadelphia corridor, Philadelphia-Lehigh Valley corridor. I actually live a little bit far from that, but not 2 hours far. So anyway, last night we had our monthly meeting, and it was the installation of officers, which is open to the public, so I'm not divulging any secrets here. But it was really, as I was watching, because I'm new to the organization, and I'm just kind of watching it, and I belonged to female organizations in the past, right? I'm a lifelong Girl Scout. I still volunteer for the Girl Scouts, my troop. They've all grown up and gone to college after getting their gold awards, so I don't have an active troop, but I still do training for backpacking and outdoor kinds of things for them. It's not a daily part of my life. And of course, back when I was very involved in the church, I had almost intentionally gone into the Sisterhood of Actual Sisters as an Anglican nun. So I'm not new to female environments, but most of the spaces I've operated in my life have been mostly male. I have all brothers. I grew up in a neighborhood of mostly boys. There were a few girls, but they weren't really allowed to play outside, so I played with the boys. I play the bagpipes, which is predominantly male. The one pipe band, I'm the only female piper. The other pipe band actually has a bit of a mix. But, I'm a tomboy, so I do tomboyish things because I went with my brothers and, skipped rocks and looked for lizards and, all those things. I didn't have dolls. I didn't have toys. My family didn't have money. So, so I'm very interested in sister spaces, right? In spaces where women come together. And I was sitting in the installation last night, and I was looking over. There's this adorable woman. She's 92. Her name is Ruby. She's a cute little lady, and she's been a Daughter of Scotia for I don't know, a million years. And she's there. But then sitting next to me is Flora, who's in her 20s. And so and these women come from all different backgrounds, and you wouldn't necessarily meet these women in any other place. None of them work in higher education. None of them play the bagpipes. I would not meet these women if it were not for this organization. And I thought how special that is to be in this group. And basically, we get to wear white dresses and sashes and talk about Scotland and eat cake and drink tea. It's great. It's great. I mean, I will miss this group of women. I will not miss that 2-hour one-way drive, 4 hours on a Monday night. Ugh. But here on YouTube, there's a group of women who are YouTubers that are into spiritual things, and we're connected and they call themselves the Sassy Spirit Sisters or the Sassy Soul Sisters, I think, and they're fun. They're a fun group of women, loosely connected. I think some of them are more connected than others. I'm probably on the outer rim, I think, because my practice is so different, and I think I'm a lot older than most of them. So, but I think that they are, incredible women. They are, definitely inspirational, and I like watching their videos, which range from unboxings to, practices that they do, and I learn so much. I learn so much from them. And so, when I think about the example of St. Bridget, she was the ultimate sister, right? So, again, talking about the saint and not necessarily the goddess, but St. Bridget started a bunch of abbeys, both for monastic life situations for men and for women. And there's some evidence that some monastic folk also had children and were married and lived relatively normal lives, which is still true today. We have monastic orders that allow people to be married. So her in that time, especially in the geography, right, because they're far away from the mainstream, the monastic orders had a little bit more power locally, the abbey, more power locally than the Pope, when it came to Roman Catholicism, because these islands were in the middle of nowhere. So the abbeys really held a lot more control locally than the bigger church at large. And the abbot and the abbess, they held, kind of positions in power where the legal system and the education system and all of the things. And I think about St. Bridget's example because her focus was on doing the work of God and feeding the poor and helping the widows, and very limited options for women. A lot of women went into monastic life because there were limited options. So you either got married or you went into monastic life. And I think about St. Bridget of Kildare, and I think about her, keeping the flame lit and living in this community of women. And I just think her example is so fascinating, because I do think that it's worthwhile to spend time with other women, different women than you, people who have different ideas than you, and to, think about the world's problems in a way that's collaborative and interesting. And so I welcome sisterhood, and I think it's a really wonderful thing. I don't have a lot of women in my life. My own mother has passed. I didn't have any aunts on her side. My aunts on my aunt on my father's side lived very far away. So I didn't have a lot of women in my life. My grandmother was very transformational, but she died when I was young. So I don't have a lot of women in my life. I have boys. I have 2 sons, and I'm close to my brother. So it's nice to go and participate in events that are focused on having fellowship with other women. So if you are a solitary practitioner in whatever practice you do, and you're interested in connecting with other women, I encourage you to find things that resonate with you, whether it's a coven or a church group of women or whatever. I definitely encourage participating in sisterhood events. So I am wishing you all the very best of light and love. Be well. Take care.